sometimes I think people have fears that are not based on reality. They're based on a lot of public perceptions about who people with Down syndrome are and what kinds of challenges they face. And certainly there are challenges, and certainly there can be health complications, as there can with any child. But for the most part, good parenting is good parenting. You do the same thing for your child with Down syndrome that you do for any of your children. I think the biggest fear, and the thing that both of us have talked about in dealing with parents, is people are afraid, I'm not going to be up to this, my life is going to be over, this is just going to be too much for me. But the biggest thing that I think we've learned is that it's not bigger than we are, and it's not something that we can't manage. And you don't manage it all at once. I mean, you don't manage a whole lifetime of living with Down syndrome at one time.
And that's where the support group is essential, really important, because it gives out a lot of information, and MADS does a great job locally, and then we also have a national Down Syndrome Congress. But then to have your own group, whether it be family or friends or church members, people who know your family, who know your kid, and can give you additional support and breaks and respite and reassurance, Our expectations from the beginning were pretty high for her, that we wanted her to be working alongside other kids with or without disabilities. What we want for our kids is we want them to be as independent as they possibly can, and to be advocating for themselves as well as possible.
They expect for me to work hard and stay on topic on subjects that we're learning for our classes. They expect a lot of respect and making a lot of friends at school.
I think right now, for one of the things that Nancy and I talk about in terms of Kaethe is now 16, and she's an emerging adult. So where are we holding her back? We've been her primary support people for 16 years, and we both have this very strong sense of protectiveness. But where does that limit her? And where do we need to let go and maybe let somebody else, sort of take charge of something? Mm-hmm. I know for Kaethe, one of the things that really sort of upped her level of understanding of her own disability, and also just upped her level of compassion and ability to deal with other people, was becoming an advocate. So when she does her presentation on Down syndrome, she knows that she's advocating not just for herself, but for other kids with Down syndrome and for kids with all sorts of disabilities.
I'm pretty confident about what I'm seeing in all the students. They ask me a lot of great, insightful questions. They ask what I want to do after high school, about other sports I do, and also about plays that I've been writing.
When it started out, MADS was mostly people with young children, and most of the families that were coming in were people who had newly born children with Down syndrome, and they were just sort of at that overwhelmed stage, and they just needed information and support and that sort of thing. And as it's grown over the years, it's become so much more diverse. And in particular, now we have adults with Down syndrome who are participating. And what I would hope would happen with MADS is that would continue, that the organization would become as reflective of the community of people with Down syndrome as possible, so that we'd have people from birth through age 60, 70, and that we'd be open to trying to figure out how to be supportive at all those different levels of life.